Hello, everyone, and welcome back to a special episode of LAOFCS Weekly. We are going to be talking about award season and the best of TIFF and Toronto 2018. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the greatest show. The reason why we're actually playing this song is because Telluride, it says enjoy the show, and also because I love The Greatest Showman, if you didn't get that already. So, welcome back to the show. Brand new episode. This is episode 5, and unlike the previous 4 episodes, this one's going to be a little bit different because we're actually recording this one a little bit earlier in the week, because the panel that I'm with today will be going to festivals. So we won't be here on Friday when this normally airs at 11 a.m. And I want to turn this right over to them and have them introduce themselves. Hello, everyone.
Hello. My name is Ashley, and I write for We Live Entertainment. And this is...
Saito from the Movable Fest. Good to be here.
So we're very excited about this episode. I know if you're become a fan of this show, it's a little bit different because you're used to being in segments. So how this show is going to work is we're going to do just 2 segments, and they're not going to be the movie pick of the week or Indie Spotlight, because most of the movies this week are going to be Indie Spotlight, let's be honest. But what we're going to talk about is for the first 10 to 15 minutes, we're going to talk about leading up to award season before the festivals, because today, actually, when we're recording this show, which is on Tuesday, the Venice Film Festival kicks off, and it's going to be going on for the next week and a half. Starting when this show is actually live, which is Friday, Telluride Film Festival starts, and then a week later, the Toronto International Film Festival starts. So the first part of this show is going to be about the movies that came out before the festival season, and then we're going to talk about movies that we're excited to see that could be potential for award nominations at these festivals. So let's kick this right off. Stephen, we'll start with you. You're going to the Toronto International Film Festival, but leading into that, what movies do you feel have potential of being part of the award season buzz this year?
Well, it's kind of amazing, but I mean, I really am getting a vibe from Crazy Rich Asians after seeing the box office last weekend that it isn't dropping. I think it's on its verge on the verge of becoming a phenomenon, and I think that may carry through February. And I think that there are a lot of movies out there. It's surprising covering the indie space. I really feel that the studios upped their game this year, and it's going to be a lot of studio movies that are really going to excite Oscar voters this year.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff that kind of came out from Sundance, but also, like you said, big studio movies that you normally wouldn't expect to be here and to be in this category at all. You know, most of the time we always have the fanboys saying, like, how come Star Wars or something like big is not going to be nominated? But this year I think we're going to have a superhero movie that might be nominated for Best Picture. Ashley, which movies do you think are going to be nominated from earlier?
For Best Picture or just
in general?
I think we're seeing this year. I think we're seeing a really strong year for documentaries. Surprisingly, we've had some great documentaries the past few years, but they haven't had as much buzz as the ones that are this year. You know, we're talking about RBG. Won't You Be My Neighbor, and 3 Identical Strangers are 3 really strong documentaries prior to even festival season. So I think we could see some of those show up for the Oscars. I think what's going to happen with the Oscars, I think we're going to see, I know the popular category is debatable on people actually wanting to see it, but I think it's going to throw a wrench in how the studios are going to approach award season. Are we going to see movies that should have been an Oscar for Best Picture, but the studios aren't confident enough that it's going to do well, so they'll push it for popular as opposed to, we might see that with Crazy Rich Asians or, one of the bigger movies this year. And I don't know if that's for the best. I don't know if this year was the best year to do that.
Because it seems so obvious that Black Panther is going to be there around February, so I just don't know what's going to happen with that.
Yeah, that's why I'm nervous. I think, I think Black Panther has a good chance at Best Picture, but will Disney end up pushing it for Best Picture after all these awards movies come out that we're going to be talking about? Are they still going to feel as confident to push Black Panther against, these other huge movies that have festival buzz when it came out so long ago at this point?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of debatable at this point because, I think a couple months ago, a lot of people were saying that movies like A Quiet Place would have a chance. And now seeing how the summer has progressed and seeing what movies have come out, I don't think it has a chance. I feel like that's a really great movie, but I feel like popular film might be where it might be put.
See, I don't know. For A Quiet Place, I don't think I ever would have seen it in Best Picture.
Okay.
I think we're going to see Quiet Place for a few of the special awards, like sound editing or some sound stuff, and maybe he might show up in original screenplay or director. Who knows? He might, but I never really saw it for Best Picture. I don't know about how you felt about that, Stephen.
And I wouldn't be surprised if that's the kind of film that winds up, if Black Panther is seen more as a Best Picture contender, A Quiet Place could be seen as more of a whatever this popular category is. But I like Ashley, see A Quiet Place racking up nominations left and right in those technical categories like sound design and cinematography, and the kinds where it gets 9 nominations and you sort of don't know where they come from, but that's where they go. Yeah,
or the prior awards. What are the awards that you do prior to the main show that are all the technical awards? Most people don't know what those are, but it could win a lot in those just for the sound design and the creation of the monster and the special effects that went into that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I concede in that, and I feel like whatever award shows, I know the Spirit Awards does it, and but that obviously won't fall into that category. But there's a lot of award shows like ours where they take a look at actresses under a certain age or actors underneath a certain age, and I think Millicent Simmons might actually see a nomination there. It was the big talk in the beginning of the year for award season was Emily Blunt and Toni Collette for Hereditary and A Quiet Place. And I don't know if that's going to happen because I think Viola Davis is going to come out of Widows, whether that movie, we have not seen it yet, but whether or not that movie is as strong as we want it to be, I still think that she's just looking at the trailers. I feel like just give her give her a nomination right now because she looks like she's going to be amazing in it. So, Stephen, is there any, you watch a lot of smaller films. Is there any ones that stood out to you as ones that you hope that as award season starts going into full swing, that you hope that people start pushing for, like Bleecker Street or some of the smaller studios they start pushing for?
I feel like a lot of people slept on Lynn Ramsey's You Were Never Really Here, which has a real powerhouse performance from Joaquin Phoenix. It's a very, very violent movie, which I could understand probably limited its appeal, but that was the one from earlier in the year that I thought really stuck as being, a possible awards contender that would come through in the end.
Yeah, I think that one has the potential. First Reform.
Yeah,
that was also really good.
And that was Telluride last year.
And that was Telluride last year. Yeah. And I mean, that took a while to come out because at Telluride. I think it was at Toronto, and then it was at Sundance earlier this year. I only had a few screenings there. But, everyone seemed to love that who saw that as well. Very little talk about that movie, but it definitely deserves to be seen, and Ethan Hawke definitely deserves a nomination, in my opinion. I think the other movies that I kind of brought up here is that I think Black Klansman right now is pretty much golden. I think that's one across the board where you can look at Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor. I see it being nominated in all those categories, probably even screenplay. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. Well, and I think screenplay is going to be an interesting category for a lot of these movies. I'm Sorry to Bother You, I would hope, is a strong screenplay contender as well. And I think that's a place where a lot of these newer voices that come out of Sundance, typically 1 or 2 of those nominations are sort of earmarked for the newer talent.
Yeah, I hope so too. I love Sorry to Bother You. I thought that was like really original. It was out there. It was wacky. We've talked about this as a group, but I think a lot of people know this, is that when it comes to award season, it's very specific about the types of movies that are being nominated and being presented there. And, the Academy is not always up to date with the rest of the world, which is why I think they started doing this popular film thing. I don't think it was negative intentions. I think they were just trying to look for a rating booster because they have been known to be out of touch. That as much as people say that the Golden Globes are a little bit more of a jokier award show, they're fun and they're lighthearted and people enjoyed them more. Oscars is way too serious, and I think, Ashley, you talked about this, very political. And I think people...
and I think, and I'm... it has nothing to do with my political beliefs, that aside.
Right.
I think that there's a lot of people who, in the current political climate, tend to shy away from things that accentuate politics because they're tired of hearing it. They don't want to listen to it. So when they are watching something like an award show, they don't want to hear from, an actor or director talking about politics. That's a good majority of the country that we seem to forget about. I totally understand where those actors and directors are coming from. They have a great platform to address some real issues that are important in the country. But I think that's a lot of what we're seeing, especially in the middle of the country, tuning out, not watching because they don't want to hear that stuff.
Yeah, no, I agree. The other movie like we didn't talk about.
I wanted to say one more thing about Sorry to Bother You. I think where we may not see it necessarily with the Academy. I think it's going to play strong at the Independent Spirit Awards.
Yes.
It's going to be really 100%. Strong there.
100%. You guys think that any love whatsoever is going to be given to Tully?
I would hope so.
I hope so.
And I think it's the screenplay category. I mean, I think that's where that nomination would come from, even though I think that both Charlize Theron and Mackenzie Davis are incredible in that film. I think that, they do because Diablo Cody has been nominated before and has won, that I think that would be where that would go.
Yeah, I feel devastated about this movie. I know, as a film lover, you see certain movies and it's almost hurtful because you want other people to see it. And that movie I saw it at Sundance. It got rave reviews out of Sundance. And then it came out and it was gone from the theaters within 2-3 weeks. No one was talking about it. Yeah. And I mean, and this, I thought, Charlize Theron, that's one of the best performances since Monster, I want to say. And Mackenzie Davis, I don't think has ever been better in a film. And Jason Reitman and Diablo Cody as a screenwriting pair, they're always phenomenal. And I don't know why that one didn't click. I really don't.
Well, and I think an additional factor in this, actually, and I'm sure we'll be talking about it soon, is that, Jason Reitman has another film coming out this year. And so I think the attention on Tully, and I sure hope, it seems like Focus is getting really serious about Oscar campaigning this year. I hope that they include it amongst their other films that they're going to push.
They are. If you go on their site already, I reached out to the person in charge over at Focus. They are stressed already because they have so many movies and they don't know what to push. Because, obviously they're going to push Black Klansman, but they also have Won't You Be My Neighbor? And they also have Tully. And there's Mary, Queen of Scots. There's so many movies. They have a lot of really good movies.
They're very lucky, but
yeah, it's very.
I understand the stress with that.
Yeah, I don't envy them.
No.
Not at all.
Making those decisions. No.
So we're going to move into our film festival stuff. Steven, if you want to chime in on this, we're going to talk about Telluride first. First, I want to give a big shout out. I know a lot of people who go to Telluride read this blog. It's Michael's Telluride blog. I've been following it for the past 2 years. This guy is on the money. Every year he does predictions and I read them, and it gets me all excited of what I'm going to see there. And this year he's given us about 20 picks. I'm going to name some of these. I'm not going to name all of them, but he's saying his number one pick for going to be there is going to be The Front Runner, which you were just mentioning, The Old Man and the Gun, First Man, Roma, The Destroyer, sorry, not the Destroyer, The Favorite, Cold War, Can You Ever Forgive Me, Boy Erased, and White Boy Rick. So out of those movies, what are your guys' takes on those? I think every one of those has the potential of being huge this award season.
They're still saying The Old Man and the Gun is probably going to be the thing that's going to get Robert Redford an Oscar, or at least a nomination. As for the rest of them, going into festival season, I really try to be cautiously optimistic because they hype up so many movies that it's just you get to them and you're disappointed by the time, 37 different websites are talking about The Front Runner or First Man, and then they're like, it's this, it's going to be that, it's going to be this. And then by the time you see it, it never really lives up to the potential that you expected it to. So I do tend to pull back a little bit with my excitement for certain films, especially those at a festival. But I love space. I love anything with space exploration. I love sci-fi type things. So First Man really was like right up my alley. I'm a huge history person. I'm nervous about it, to say the least, because it is Damien Chazelle's follow-up to his Oscar-winning movies. Not a follow-up, but I mean it's his next film. So there's a lot of pressure on him for it to be good, and it makes me a little bit anxious, to say the least.
Out of those, Stephen, which ones are you...
I'm so unbelievably excited for Roma, the Alfonso Cuarón film, his first film since Gravity. I mean, we're talking about all these filmmakers who are returning off, these big career triumphs and about to do something, trying to outdo themselves. And I know that can be a daunting thing, but also exciting when they come through with, what you loved about the last film. So... I'm really looking forward to Roma. I'm looking forward to First Man. I can't. It's a very exciting. Yeah, it's a very exciting slate, and especially because Cannes didn't get as much of these films as you thought that they were going to. A lot of them were pushed to the fall, and because of the Netflix ban that they had at Cannes, and. So, fall festival season is really loaded this year. Yeah,
I agree. I mean, Cannes Film Festival this year was probably one of the weakest lineups that I've seen in quite some time. I mean, usually when people are posting about it, they're excited. I always get jealous that I don't get to go. And this year I looked at anything and I said, well, there's probably like 3 or 4 things that I would want to see there. So I was kind of like, oh, this was an okay.
So we're not going to make the 6,000 mile trip or 3,000 mile trip.
Yeah. So I wasn't, I'm glad you pointed that out because I do feel outside of BlacKkKlansman, which took that by storm, that was like the big movie there. There wasn't anything else that really anyone was talking about outside of that festival. For me, I am very excited about The Old Man and the Gun with David Lowery. Is that? Yeah.
Yes.
I really love Pete's Dragon, and I loved Ghost Story. He's a very strange filmmaker to say the least, but he's very good at telling very different stories. Each movie he makes is much different than the next one, and I really do admire him and him working with Sissy Spacek and Robert Redford, and this is going to be, and it's been on record now, that this is going to be his final film, and the man who's been in so many movies, has done so much for film, has never been nominated for an Academy Award. Our friend who's part of this group, Kip Bowen, also said, she thinks this is going to be the year he's going to win, and I agree. I mean, I haven't seen this movie yet, but the potential is there. It's based on a true story. There seems like everyone involved has been passionate about this. They've been talking about it for a really long time. So I think this is going to be the big one. I'm really also curious about The Favorite, that movie, because me and Ashley saw Sacred Killing of a Deer or whatever. What was the movie? What was
Killing
it?
of a Sacred Deer.
Yeah.
And the Lobster.
And the Lobster. So we're like the two wackos who did not like the Lobster. We saw that movie at AFI, and we were like, why does everyone like this? Sacred Deer was so weird, but we kind of bought into it. And this
so now
one,
we're like,
I don't know.
It's a toss up. We're either gonna really like it or it's gonna be a what is with this guy?
Yeah, but I mean Rachel Weisz and Emma Stone is in it. So I mean I'm already sold on those two because they were two of my favorite actresses. So I'm really excited about this movie, although I'm hesitant because I'm so iffy on this director. Do you have any take on this?
I was gonna say, well, I think it's interesting because I think this is the first time he's not working from one of his own scripts. So he's directing someone else's script, and I I'm very, very curious about it. I am given hope by the Telluride and if he goes to Telluride, but for sure Venice and for sure New York, and those are stamps of approval. I mean, the New York opening night is a big stamp of approval.
Yeah, no, I think so. Remember last year? This is just a random side conversation. Remember when Downsizing opened Venice last year, right? And everyone was like going crazy. Oh my God, Alexander Payne did it again. And then it screened at Telluride, and everyone was like, Alexander Payne did not do it again. And then as awards season went on, everyone was like, this is the most racist movie ever made. I hate this movie. And it like went from like a 90-something% down to like what, 40, something like that. It's amazing. But film festivals are not always welcoming places to movies. Because sometimes they get harsh criticism. I remember me and Ashley saw Suburbicon last year, which we both happened to really like. But man, that movie got slammed left and right. But it happens.
It's something you don't really realize until you're at one of these major festivals where they've never shown it before to anybody. They may not have even had test screenings of it because the movie hasn't been done yet. Mm-hmm. But there are movies that actually die in the first screening, in the first room, and you can feel the air just being sucked out of
or
it.
the people just leaving,
yeah,
too.
Yeah.
Those are
walkouts.
painful, yeah. What was the one that you saw at Sundance, and it was like so many people? Oh my gosh.
Swiss Army Man.
Yeah, Swiss Army Man. Scott saw it in the first screening, and so many people walked out of that movie. But it's just, film festivals are kind of interesting because I feel like they go one of two ways. Like, you get really great buzz out of it, or you get slammed. Like, I really don't think there's much, like, you won't hear much of the movies that were like, it was okay. Like, they will never go anywhere. So for a lot of these filmmakers and, actors and everything, it's like the film festivals are, they're like holding their breath and like hoping that, people are liking what they're seeing.
Well, and they're saying that this year, that's why Telluride is actually a smaller, that not as many of the high-profile films are going to Telluride first, but they're going to Toronto because they want perhaps a larger section of people as opposed to the small group of journalists there determining the fate of the movie. They want a larger sample size.
That's interesting.
Do you think Suspiria is going to be at Telluride? Because it's missing from a lot of festivals.
I know that they love him there, so it wouldn't surprise me. But I also think that knowing the changes at Amazon right now, where they're going to a more commercial studio, I think that they're actually trying to hit the genre festivals as opposed to the more prestigious festivals. I wouldn't be surprised if Suspiria shows up at, Beyond Fest in Los Angeles and Fantastic Fest in Austin and sort of takes that route despite Luca Guadagnino being the director and coming off Call Me By Your Name.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were really hyped about that movie, and it kind of, it's weird because they feel like as people in the industry, we have expectations, and like when a movie doesn't show up at certain festivals, we're kind of like wondering, like, is it not
like,
good?
What is wrong with
what's wrong with this?
What are you hiding?
Yeah, and then the trailer for that just came out, the second trailer, and I know it got very mixed response from people. And I know everyone was riding on this movie supposed to be this huge major thing, and it's a cult film. The original is a cult film. It's loved by movie lovers really only, and horror nuts. But other than that, the average person has no idea what that is. So I am a little concerned about that, but I do see what you're saying about going to Fantastic Fest and really making a splash there. Plus, with all the stuff that happened lately with Fantastic Fest over the last couple of years, they can really use something that could really draw in an audience. So that might be a good fit. But they do have Halloween there as well.
Absolutely. Well, and the crazy little bit of trivia with this is that David Gordon Green was originally going to direct the Suspiria remake with Natalie Portman that Luca Guadagnino was going to produce, and Luca Guadagnino worked tirelessly to produce that movie and then wound up taking the director spot on it, and now we've got both of these movies this year. About 10 years after both of them were supposed to be made with those directors.
It's pretty crazy. I mean, there's so much coming out this year, and I think an interesting other thing we need to point out is how many of these movies are actually from a streaming service. Like you mentioned that it's
Netflix,
Amazon Studios.
Yeah.
I mean, the Roma, which is what I've heard in the industry from talks is supposed to be one of the big contenders outside of Black Klansman this year. And to think now that Netflix might have that, and then they also have Outlaw King, which is the return for Chris Pine and dude, what's the dude's name from? I know, I can't remember. Oh no!
From what?
From Wind River. He directed Wind River, and he directed Hell or High Water. I can't remember.
David
his name.
Mackenzie is the director.
Yeah. So, you know, I think that's going to be a big. It's going to be an interesting year because Netflix might actually make some buzz this year.
Well, the thing that I mean, in planning my Toronto schedule,
he got it. It's Taylor Sheridan. Was the director. Sorry.
Absolutely. Well, I was just going to say, you know, that's one of the big things about the festival season this year. It may be the only place you see some of these movies on a big screen. And I mean, they're coming from Paul Greengrass and yeah, Alfonso Cuarón and Jeremy Saulnier, who has Hold the Dark. These are big screen movies that you want to see in a theater. And as I've heard about Roma, I mean, you need an incredible sound system for that film. So...
Don't they also have Netflix also have the Scorsese film this year?
next year.
Oh, it's next year? Okay.
It's apparently run way over schedule because of the de-aging effects that they have to do on the cast. And
Oh, okay. All right. So that's for Telluride. Now, moving on to Toronto, a lot of this stuff is going to be carrying over if Michael's right, which he probably is. Out of that, since I've been talking a little bit, what are your guys? What are you most looking forward to at Toronto?
Go ahead, Steven.
I was going to leave it to you, but
It's your first year, or no? You've been before.
Never mind.
Stella Mcgee's The Weekend is actually top of my list. She directed a film called Gene of the Joneses that premiered at South by Southwest a few years ago, and then did Everything, and I understand that this is a return to the sort of urbane comedy that she made with Gene of the Joneses. It's got DeWanda Wise and Sashir Zameda, and I think it's just going to be, it's one of the ones that Cameron Bailey, the TIFF executive director, is tipping off as one of his favorites. So I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah, and I'm trying to, If Beale Street Could Talk is the new Barry Jenkins film. And
yeah, which is interesting because you're having something from Damien and Barry Jenkins. We could have a repeat of the last year, hopefully not, but then, you know, I think that's going to be really good.
I'm surprised we were talking about this on the way over. I'm amazed that Beale Street is not at A24, because you would think after such success of Moonlight, they would have been like, you know what, we need him. Yeah. We need to keep him.
No, but it's Annapurna, right?
Yeah, it's Annapurna now. And for me, I mean, I'm really excited. I'm really looking forward to Fahrenheit 11/9. Yeah. You know, if that tells you where I stand politically, I'm pretty sure it does. But I've always enjoyed Michael Moore's movies, and I feel like
Where to Invade Next.
Yeah, Where to Invade Next, and I feel like this, though, this is going to be a very angry documentary, I feel. This is going to be a very, very angry documentary.
It plays at Ryerson, right?
Yes.
I think it's going to, if you've ever been to Toronto, you've seen screenings at Ryerson, right?
Yes, yeah.
It's bananas on like a normal screening. I think we're going to see, you know, security and police officers and so much activity around that area for that screening. It's going to be a little crazy. And I think it's going to have a lot of, you never know with politically charged movies like this, you may have protesters. It might be, you know, you never know what you're going to get there. So, it is definitely on the top of my list. I struggle with film festivals because I feel like a lot of the movies that people are talking about are those movies that have, you know, the studio backing already. You know, if you've got A Star Is Born and, you know, movies that are already like everybody's just gonna love them because they're gonna love them. Where, you know, I think what's great about these festivals is a lot of the smaller movies, like a lot of the movies Steven sees are things that people aren't talking about right away, but are actually great movies that aren't, super hyped. And I think a lot of them tend to be different movies that a lot of people don't want to see. But the ones that I'm looking forward to, I'm looking for Paul Dano's directorial debut in Wildlife. I think that's going to be great. It's got Jake Gyllenhaal in it and Carey Mulligan. And then as well as A Million Little Pieces, which I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. The book came out in like 2000 something. And then it was like...
It was a big controversy because it was fabricated.
Part of it was fabricated, and it was James Frey, and I think Aaron Taylor Johnson's in it, which I think he would be a really interesting... It's like a weird combination of things for me because I'm like, it could be good or it could be really terrible because like there's Sam Taylor Johnson who did 50 Shades of Grey. But then you have Aaron Taylor Johnson and Billy Bob Thornton, and then the actual book that it's based on is really entertaining, mostly because it's probably fabricated, but it's got like all this stuff, and it was like it was on Oprah's book list, and
it was
like
one of the biggest books. Yeah.
So I'm interested to see. I'm amazed they made a movie, so I'm interested to see what becomes of that. And then I think a movie that's going to kind of come out of nowhere for some people is going to be Where Hands Touch, and it's Amandla Stenberg and Amma Asante who did United Kingdom. So it's about it takes place during the 40s, during Hitler's reign and stuff like this, and she falls in love with a member of the Hitler Youth. So
it's funny because you brought her up. And you brought everything up. And me and Ashley did not like everything at all. Mm-mm. And I saw her in Darkest Minds, another failure, but not her fault. But I thought she was really strong in that movie. And now she has The Hate You Give, and she has this one. And I feel like they're really pushing her. And I saw it a little bit more in her Darkest Minds. I'm like, she does have star power. It's just she needs better material. And I'm hoping with these two movies that are both very different, but they're both about race issues, I feel like they might be the movies that push her over the edge and might actually get her out there.
I think she might get those under 25 awards, or nominations just for The Hate You Give. That trailer that they put out is so powerful, and her emotions and just that little bit of the film that they show are really strong. So I think we might finally see like her come out of her shell and see what we've been, what other people were expecting to see in the theater, with her great performances.
And I think Hate You Give is going to get a real bounce out of Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they've already. I mean, I'm somebody that buys tickets, so I've been seeing. I mean, that's been the one that's been selling out there, and I think it's going to be. I think it's going to explode there.
I think that's going to be big. The other one that everyone's talking about, and I got confirmation from a friend who does not want to be named that they saw Star is Born, and apparently it's not as good as that review came out the other day, calling it the best movie that has ever existed in the world.
I'm telling you, that was a joke. Somebody was just messing with people, and then they just got called out.
This movie's better than Woody Allen, Martin Scorsese, Quentin Tarantino combined.
They brought in like Stanley Kubrick.
Steven Spielberg got nothing on this.
I totally think that was a joke. But I think it's gonna. Here's my concern with it, and I don't know if you guys share the same thing. Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper are hugely popular.
Yes.
I don't know very many people who don't like them. I think the appeal for this film going to Toronto is that it's going to get that big buzz. It's going to get that big opening night, like the streets are going to be blocked and there's going to be people everywhere. It's going to be crazy, and that's what they want.
Oh, yeah.
Whether the movie's going to deliver on all of that, like I said, all of that hype that it's creating, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that it's a remake of a Barbra Streisand film is a little weird to me. And you put someone like, Lady Gaga in a movie, and it's like, her voice. You know how powerful a voice is. So it's almost like too on-the-nose casting. It's very strange to me, and I will not be surprised, I'm going to call it now, that at Toronto, if they're going to do like some kind of live performance after the screening.
With Lady Gaga.
Yeah, they're going to do something where her and Bradley Cooper are going to come out and do a duet or something together. Would not surprise me in the slightest, because I know Warner Brothers, we're big fans and big supporters of them. they like to go big or they go home.
Like Comic-Con.
Like a Comic-Con. Even, I mean,
They're like, you all can leave.
even at South by Southwest, they killed it this year with Ready Player One. They did a whole experience. They did a great after party for that movie.
Great. Yeah, they do really fun stuff.
So it would not surprise me if they do something. Maybe they'll even shut down the street and do a live concert.
Well, even for Smallfoot, they have a big experience in
They own
Hollywood.
that corner now,
Yeah.
don't they? I mean, because they did it there, and yeah.
So they know how to do fun stuff. So I think you're right. I wouldn't be surprised. The one thing that I'm still stuck on right now, Bohemian Rhapsody. I would be so surprised if it doesn't show up. I mean, I don't believe it'll show up at Telluride because I don't think it's that type of film. But I would be really surprised if it's not at Toronto. And I think if it's not, that's a little concerning for me. Because, I love Rami Malek. I think he's great. But he's lip syncing in this. And it's really hard to sell artists who are not actually singing. And then to not have it at this big festival, it makes me very nervous on how it is. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Well, I think they're slightly nervous about that film, not because of, I trust that Rami Malek gives an amazing performance in it, but because they replaced directors on it with Bryan Singer and Dexter Fletcher, and I think that they're just maybe being really careful with how they're going to roll that one out, whether the film is great or not. I mean, I've heard talk both ways, so.
And do you think they're holding back on it because, if it comes up in Toronto against an already musically charged movie, A Star Is Born, do you think it's not going to have as strong of an impact?
Oh.
It's true. Well, something I wanted to bring up, there are 4 movies. I mean, I've counted at least 4 movies about pop stars going to Toronto. There's Natalie Portman in Vox Lux. There's Elle Fanning in Teen Spirit. And Alex Ross Perry's Her Smell with Elizabeth Moss. It's inundated this year with music,
which sounds like it would be South by Southwest because they do so many things. But it's interesting. Yeah, you're right. I didn't notice that until you pointed it out.
There's always themes. I mean, you've noticed this, right? At film festivals, like there's so many different themes. This is going to be the year, my prediction is the year that everyone's going to cry. Like every other movie, you're going to come out of like Beautiful Boy.
I'm warning.
You're going to cry. Life Itself, you're going to cry.
No. I'm warning anybody who sits near me during Life Itself. Like, I am going to ugly cry. I know it. And Scott and I were watching the trailer the other day, and I'm like, this person dies. This person dies. Everyone dies. It's going to be sad. And Scott's like, God, calm down. I'm like, no, I'm trying to emotionally prepare myself. But, This Is Us hits, a lot of people really hard. And when, Dan Fogelman, I think, this is one where I'm really trying to dial back my excitement, but I'm ready.
And from that trailer, it really seems like a season of This Is Us condensed into a 2-hour time frame. So they're going to cut out all the stuff where you don't cry.
Which, if it's great, that's going to be, amazing for that studio because that's the marketing they want to push from the creator of This Is Us or from the person from This Is Us, because This Is Us is a powerhouse show right now. Everyone's loving it. Even though some people would say the second season wasn't as great, I think that it's going to ride on those, ride that wave right to Oscar season.
Me too. Speaking of studios, Fox is having a killer year with this, with Widows going there. If Bohemian Rhapsody is good, they have that. And then there's one other one. Why can't I remember the other name of the movie? There's one other movie that they have that's really big. Oh, it's Hey You Give.
Yeah.
Hey You Give. So they have 3 major releases. Then for Midnight Madness, they're bringing Predator there, which has so much hype from, San Diego Comic-Con. The footage they show, everyone really went crazy for it.
But of course, it has to be at Midnight Madness because if you know anything about the clips that played at South by, it was 90% bleeped out because it was just like, we can't show all these curse words in Hall H, which it was an interesting clip to select.
Yeah.
But I think I think they brought it. I think it was a strategic move to carefully, plant, like, this is the type of movie that we're making, and we're going to put it at a Midnight Madness at Toronto, which, if people aren't familiar, Midnight Madness shows crazy movies. Like, what was that one we saw, Mom and Dad?
Yes.
Did you see that?
That is and it was the most insane Ryerson screening I think I've been to.
Craziest movie.
Yeah.
And we were just like, what am I watching? But that's the type of movie. So it's interesting to me that they really want to push Predator as a midnight, which shows me that I think it's going to be a lot more gory, and I think it's going to be a lot more, rough than we expect from Predator. I mean, Predator is normally,
Yes.
pretty rough, but I think they're saying we're pushing it with this one.
Oh, I think so. And I mean, Halloween, of course, is the big Midnight Madness movie.
Just in case people don't know, I don't do horror movies because I am a giant scaredy cat, but I'm gonna see Halloween, so I might not sleep for like a week, but it's like one of those that I have to, it's Halloween, I have to see it, so I just had to get that in there.
Well, and Jason Blum is attached to this movie, and we always on every show that I'm on, I always talk about Jason Blum and Blumhouse and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. The man is a master. All right, he knows the industry. He knows how to market a movie. He knows how to budget a movie. He's just the man. Okay, so
he's the man.
So bringing this movie to TIFF and showing it, where I think everyone is going to be so psyched to see it. He couldn't ask for a better place to screen this movie for the first time. And I can't wait to be there when that movie ends and to see that reaction and, see Jamie Lee Curtis takes the stage. And, man, she's probably going to get a standing ovation. And, I mean, people are going to... I can only... What I learned from Comic-Con is that this movie means so much. This franchise means so much to so many people. And it's weird to think about it because it's a horror movie. But it really does. It means so much. Our friend Dimitri, who's on Meet the Movie Press with us, he absolutely adores Halloween. Like, he can talk to you about it all day. And, like, he has all these, like, little tidbits about it. So I'm really excited for this. We're going to see it with our friends Robert and Jen. And they're super pumped about it. So we're really excited.
And that brings up a point that I think is interesting for critics. I really feel like sometimes... I know we like to see them in the quiet theaters with all the press people, but I think sometimes you just have to see it with the general audience. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to watch Halloween with 10 people in a small screening room. You want to see that movie with like 150 fans who are screaming and excited about everything. That's the kind of movie that you want to see. So I'm very excited to see it with Jen and Rob.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great. And then we didn't talk about a couple of things I want to talk about real quick is we didn't talk about Beautiful Boy, which I think Steve Carell this year has 3 movies coming out. He has this one.
And they still haven't announced Marwin yet.
Yeah, they didn't announce Marwin.
I think that's going to play at Telluride.
I'm leaning towards AFI just because of the release dates.
Are you?
They need big movies at AFI.
Because of how bad week it was last year?
Yeah. I think so. I mean, I just see that as being one of the big galas at AFI.
Maybe I'm just really excited and want to see it. And I'm projecting that onto it.
But he has that one. He also has Cheney, or Backseat, I think that's the name of it, temporarily right now. And he has Beautiful Boy. And I think this is going to be the year again. It's so hard because I feel like we have so many strong contenders that when it comes to voting, even in our organization this year, I think I'm going to struggle. Because do I want to see the John Washington from BlacKkKlansman get it? Yes, but I'm pretty sure after I see all of these movies, I'm going to say I want Steve Carell to win, and I'm going to want Robert Redford to win, and it's going to be really, really difficult this year.
We're lucky that there's a lot of great stuff coming out this year.
And then finally, Lucas Hedges has 2 movies at TIFF.
I think this is going to be his year.
3?
Oh, he has
mid-90s, Ben is back.
I forgot he was in
Boy
mid-90s.
is Raced. Yeah.
I forgot he was in mid-90s. Because
Crazy.
That's the guy I don't like, right?
No, you like him. You don't like Timothée Chalamet.
No, not him. The guy who made mid-90s.
Oh, Jonah Hill.
Jonah Hill.
Little Seth Rogen.
Little Seth Rogen, yes. Now thinner little Seth Rogen, yes.
Thinner. No, but like I don't know how he's going to be behind the camera, dealing with that aspect. I just don't think his humor does not jive with me. So it's like it's kind of hard to see him in that kind of position. So it'll be interesting. I mean, I'll see mid-90s, but it's not one of those that I'm excited
It's not.
for.
I'm not super psyched about it either. It's just there.
But I do like Lucas Hedges.
Lucas Hedges, I think Boy Erased and Ben is Back. Ben is Back looks like, I don't even know what to make of that little teaser trailer that they showed, but I'm going to just say it. I nothing against Timothy Chalamet. I think Timothy Chalamet is very good, but Lucas Hedges, I think, has the edge on him. I think he has the lead on him. And I think when you've seen him in Manchester by the Sea, Lady Bird.
The chicken scene in Manchester by the Sea had me crying.
Yeah.
Me crying. So, I think this year he's going to kind of get that chance to shine. And I think we're going to see him maybe.
Is he under 25 too? Will he be another one joining
I think
that?
so,
Yeah.
yes.
So it's going to be him, Timothy Chalamet, Millicent Simmons, Amanda, what's her last name?
Amanda
Stamberg. I mean, yeah, there you go. There's 4 of the 5 this year. So we got about a minute and a half left. Is anything you guys want to say? Closing remarks? Where can we find you?
Again, Steven Saito at the movablefest.com. And, the one that we didn't mention, we glossed over was Destroyer, the Nicole Kidman film.
We really did.
And I think that's going to be exciting as well.
She did, that's the same director who did The Invitation, right?
The Invitation, yeah.
Very underrated film that was at South by Southwest. Didn't really go much of anywhere, to be honest. But a lot of people talk about it now. It's a cult classic. So
right.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see it. She's gonna have a great year too.
And they did a Christmas release date for it, so I think that they know what they've got.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Ash, closing remarks?
I think I just want to say that I feel very lucky that we have a lot of great films to talk about from these festivals, and I think we have some really talented filmmakers that are going to be at these festivals. So I am very appreciative that they bring these great movies for us to see and enjoy. So I am very much looking forward to Telluride and Toronto this year.
Sounds good. I am very pumped for both these festivals. This is the beginning of my Super Bowl season. Football season starts. This is award season starts, and we had some great movies so far in 2018. And to start opening up the doors for a whole bunch of new ones, I'm super duper excited. So for the next 2 weeks, you're going to notice the show's going to be a little bit different. There's going to be 1 week where we're going to send in a video to play where it's going to be a couple members of us. Maybe we'll track down Steven and we'll get him to do a video with us.
We usually see a passing blur of Steven at film festivals. We're like, Steven!
We'll find someone to do it. But we're gonna figure that out, and we're gonna do a nice little kind of festival recap video for you guys. And then I'm gonna talk with some of the other members of the LAOFCS who maybe are not coming to the festivals, and maybe they'll do a show for you without me. So you can let me know what you think of someone else sitting in this chair. But thank you so much for watching. Share this video, subscribe to the Popcorn Talk Network, and thanks for watching. See you soon.
Bye.
Thanks.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.